Zettel für die lange Weg. 2 Flaschen Whisky für die Zeit. Und ich date gern habe, du bist dabei. Maria geht fort mal weg, ist weit. Wann ich geh, ich werd dir fehlen, wann ich geh. Du sehst nicht, was ich mach, du sehst nicht, wie ich lach. Ich werd dir fehlen, du watsch sehen. Hab kriegt mein Zettel für den langen Weg. Du scheinst da, als mir finden kann. Es hat Maria und Dale ganz wunderbar. Als ich dir den weißen Dank. Wann ich geh, ich werd dir fehlen, wann ich geh. Du sehst nicht, was ich mach, du sehst nicht, wie ich lach. Ich werd dir fehlen, du watsch sehen. Hello, Leva Light. It is so great to be back with all of you. It is now the middle of September. Can you believe it, dear friends? Where is the year going? I don't know, but you are in for a treat tonight if you have sat down and you're joining the live stream with me. And a lot of people already have made comments, so I can't wait to get to those here in a second to show where everybody's coming from. In the meantime, if you're watching on the YouTube channel or you're on the Facebook page, put in the comment section your name and where you are joining us from. I love to give everybody shout outs when possible, and I'll do that here in a second. But we have a great show for you again. Welcome. If this is your first time joining us for PA Dutch Live, I am so glad that you're here. If you're someone that comes by every month, I'm thankful that you have decided to come back, kom wieder, and join us. And I just can't wait to share tonight's episode with all of you. But I start every episode the same way. Let's give some shout outs to the people that are joining us. I know Aaron Eldred. That's a student in one of my high school German classes. Aaron says, hello. Aaron, thanks for joining us. Juliana says, oh my God, no, this isn't the waiting room, Juliana. You are now live joining us. I think they're both joining us from Central Pennsylvania. What else we got? Hey, this is a first. We've been doing this for over a year now, well over a year now. We have our first person joining us from New Zealand. Holy cow, the show is stretching all the way across the Pacific Ocean tonight. It's 10 a.m. in the morning on Thursday already. Barry is a day ahead of us. Barry, what's the future hold? That's what we want to know. Holy cow, New Zealand is joining us. That is unbelievable. What else we got coming in here? Our good friend Chris, he joins us almost every month, joining us. Hello, my friend. Well, hello, Chris. It's good to have you back. We got Char, who joins us all the time from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Thanks so much for joining us. Our good friend Brigitte from Philadelphia. Now, those of you that watched last month's episode, you know Brigitte, that's whose family had the music video that so many of you commented with wonderful things about how great that song was. Brigitte, people want more. You're going to have to send us a new video. Just putting that out there. Our good friend Dolly joins us every month. She's also joining us from beautiful Fleetwood, Pennsylvania, in the heart of Berks County. David, our good friend David. Oh my God, we got Africa on the show tonight as well. Now, David joins us most weeks from Lehigh Valley, but he must be, well, either traveling or for work. He is joining us from Rabat, Morocco. My goodness. Hey, it is great. I don't know who this is, Wolfpith, but he says, hi, Maidenford. Well, hello to you, Wolfpith, whoever that is. Barbara's joining us from Huntington, which is on Long Island, New York. Barbara, thanks for joining the stream. Sheila coming in from Palmyra. Holy cow. Hey, we got a first-timer here, Michael Beidelman. Well, I'm glad that you're joining us for the first time, Michael. I hope you come back next month and enjoy what we got for you tonight. Lutra Bay is joining us from across the ocean in beautiful Germany, saying hello aus Lautra. They are staying up. Boy, it's midnight in Germany. Thanks for joining the stream. That Michael, who just joined us, said originally from Emmaus, but he's living in Harrisburg. So we got the capital, Pennsylvania, joining us as well. Who else we got here? Another first-timer. Carla says first-timer and proud member of the Berks County Association for Graveyard Preservation. That's our guest tonight. I'm sure that you're going to be really happy with the two people that I have coming up on the show, Carla. Thanks for joining the stream. And another first-timer, first time watching from Lancaster County, Wanda Smale, I guess. Hey, Wanda, thanks for joining us. If you are joining the stream, like I said, let us know where you're joining us from. Thanks to everybody that that is with us tonight and those that'll be coming in throughout the time. Sometimes, not everyone gets logged on right away at 6 o'clock, and I get that. We have a wonderful show, and I want to get going right now. And those of you that are joining us for the first time, we kind of follow the same kind of pattern every month. I like to start the show with news that's coming up in central Pennsylvania and Berks County and the southeastern Pennsylvania Dutch country, because there is tons of stuff as we enter fall. Some really great opportunities for you guys to get out and experience some Pennsylvania Dutch culture. Oh, we got some other people joining us real quick. Let's give some quick shout outs. James is joining us. Was right that gambling is not business. I don't know. That might be spam. Sorry, guys. Chris is joining us from Durkheim. This is in Germany, from what's known as the sausage market city in Bad Dürkheim. Well, thank you, Chris, for joining us. I'm glad that you stayed up as well to join the show. Well, let's talk a little bit about stuff coming up here in the greater Pennsylvania Dutch communities. First off, this weekend, what are you guys doing? If you're in the greater Berks County region, you should be heading over to the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center, which is in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. It is their annual Heimat Fest, taking place on Saturday from 11 to 4 p.m. It is free parking, free entrance. They'll have food vendors, craftsmen, live music. There's a really great performance that's going to take place at 2 p.m. Some guy named Doug Mainford is going to be taking the stage, and I heard he's going to be doing some Pennsylvania Dutch music and humor and jokes. So it's a great event. There'll be other musicians playing throughout the day as well. If you're looking for something to do on Saturday and you're in the greater Kutztown, Berks County, Reading area, come on over to Heimat Fest. It'll be a really, really good time. Oh, we got to give some shout outs here. I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. HX Rocks. He's joining us from Niederrhein. That's another region of Germany. Thanks for staying up and joining the show. Mauricio, he greets us every month, coming to us from Brazil. Great that you're with us again, Mauricio. James comes in. I'm from Higgins. Well, Higgins, that's Schuylkill County. A lot of good Pennsylvania Dutch people up there. Thanks, James, for the history lesson about Adam Harris. There we go. Learn something all the time. Keep your calendars open because there's other stuff happening. The first weekend in October, if you want to make the trek up to the area of Pennsylvania where I live in central PA, not too far from State College, there will be the annual Dutch Fall Fest in the village of Aaronsburg. It's October 1st and 2nd. There's arts, there's crafts, there's good food, all surrounding around the Pennsylvania Dutch culture. So if you're up for a trip up to the mountains of central PA, come on up. If you're in the Western Berks region, we got the Pennsylvanische Deutsche Versammlung von West-Berks County. For those of you that can't speak Pennsylvania Dutch, that's the Pennsylvania Dutch gathering of Western Berks County. It'll be taking place on the first Saturday in October, and this year it will be held at St. Paul's UCC Church in Rappasonia at 2 p.m. Now, you need to get tickets. You can visit groundhoglodge.org to order your tickets. There's a link right there for the West Berks Versammlung. It's a good time. You'll have a good meal, good entertainment. Trust me. You want to go if you're in the area, so check it out. Hey, Cindy's joining us from Sunbury, PA. That's right down there along the Susquehanna River. Thanks for joining us tonight, Cindy. And also, Home for the Year is joining us from Virginia, but originally from Hershey. Left the sweetest place on earth to go down to Virginia. I won't hold that against you there, Home for the Year. If you are in the greater York region, there's another opportunity for you to experience some Pennsylvania Dutch stuff on Sunday, October the 2nd at St. Jacob's Church in Glenville, Pennsylvania. There will be their annual PA Dutch worship service and luncheon. The church service starts at 10:15. It'll be a good mix of Pennsylvania Dutch and English. We'll be singing hymns in Pennsylvania Dutch, and some guy named Doug Mainford will be doing the sermon for the day and the readings. Heard that guy's pretty good. You might want to check him out. But get this, even if you don't want to come to church, come to the luncheon or come to church and stay for the luncheon, because we're having stuffed pig stomach, pepper slaw, applesauce, desserts, and drinks. No cost. Where are you? Come on, people, now. Get yourselves to Glenville on Sunday, October 2nd at 10:15. And if you're there, make sure you greet me and say, Doug, I love what you're doing. I'm here just to eat the hog maw, though. Our good friend Jeff Marks is joining us from the big town of Mont Etna, Pennsylvania. That's over there in Western Berks County. Thanks, Jeff, for joining the stream. Some more stuff for you to put on your calendar. The Kutztown Folk Festival has some events planned for this fall. The first one is the Farm to Table Dinner, which will be held at the Rodale Institute on Thursday, October 13th. If you're interested, you need to get tickets ahead of time. It will really be a great show, or excuse me, not show, but a great meal. And it'll be educational as well. So if you're interested, just go to kutztownfestival.com. There's an events tab on their website, and you can order tickets to go to the farm to table dinner at the Rodale Institute. Also, the Kutztown Folk Festival in conjunction with the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center. This is something you definitely want on your calendars if you're available to go on November 20th. So a little bit of time away, 2 months away. However, they will be having an informative afternoon all about the celebration of Mountain Mary, the arts of folkcraft. Our good friend, Dr. Josh Brown, who has, I've done a lot of work with him over the years. He originally from the Lehigh Valley, Lehigh County, now as a professor of German out in the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire. He will be traveling east and giving a talk on this topic, the celebration of Mountain Mary, the arts of the folkcraft. And also the director of the Cultural Heritage Center, Patrick Dunmore, will also be talking about Mountain Mary, Anna Maria Young, and the Sainted Healer of the Ole Valley. There'll be light food and drink included. You do need to sign up ahead of time and get tickets. I don't remember the cost, but you can find out on their website. If you go to the Kutztown Folk Festival's website again and check out their events tab, they'll have something here for the Mountain Mary exhibit. I think you can also find information on the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage website as well. And speaking of the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center, if you're looking for a good gift for someone or you're looking for something new to read, their brand new volume is now out by the famous and award-winning author William Weiss Weaver. His newest book, Folk Tales of the Pennsylvania Dutch, Stories of Witchcraft, Magic, and the Supernatural, is now available for $35. It's a 200-page hardcover book. Mine just came in the mail last week. I haven't had a chance to actually read it yet. I did page through it. I've read other books that William Weaver has written. They are all top-notch. So I'm sure once I get a chance to actually sit down and read it, when I get a little free time, I'm sure it will be a great read, but it's something you can definitely check out. It's available through masthof.com, our good friends over there at Masthof Press in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. I got some other people joining us. I want to give them a quick shout out. Hey, another student of mine is joining us tonight, Victoria. She's one of my German 2 students. Hello, Herr Mainford. Well, hello, Tori. It's so good for you to join us tonight. You get extra points in the grade book tomorrow. That's for sure. For sure. Aaron gets extra points too because she's joining us as well. Aaron's joining us as well. Oh my goodness. Hey, some of you know, if you follow me on social media, that in August I was back in the old country. I was in Germany for a week doing filming, and we had some concerts, and it was a really busy week, but it was a really fun week. And I got to stay in with my good friend Bjorn and his wife Anna and their kids in their house, and they live in this tiny little town called Insheim, which is in the Palatinate, in the Rhineland-Pfalz, this region where a lot of our Pennsylvania Dutch ancestors come from. And I happened to go for a walk the one day to kind of get rid of my jet lag when I first got there. And I'm walking down this side street and I look up at this house and I see this, what you're seeing on your screen. And I thought to myself, well, there are some old school hex signs carved into the facade of this house. And for those of you that don't understand German, I'll translate there. It says erbaut von Philipp Jakob Meyer und Anna Maria Bollinger, 1857. So built by Philip Jacob Meyer and his wife, Anna Maria Bollinger, 1857. I just thought it was really great that they had these rosette motifs and circles carved into the side of their house from 1857. I thought, holy cow, I feel like I'm at home, even though I'm 4,000 miles away. It was just a really neat experience. I wanted to share that with all of you. Okay, I think I've talked enough. It's time to bring on our guests. And I'm so excited to do that. Tonight, we welcome 2 representatives from a very active and what I feel is a very important group that is doing work that very few people out there are doing, and that is the Berks County Association for Graveyard Preservation. I'm welcoming on to the show right now Lara Thomas and Les Rohrbach. Lara and Les, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Lara, I think you might be muted. Check your microphone, please. Okay, so this group, let's start with this. You guys sent me some slides, and I'd like to share some information with everybody. But I think, let me take care of one thing. Les, do you happen to have earbuds or something you could put in to stop the echo? Otherwise, everyone's going to keep hearing my voice all the time.
No. I don't know what echo you're hearing.
Okay, yeah, well, maybe it's just me. I don't know if it's coming through on the stream or not, but it's coming through my brain. Anyway, all right, Les, I'll throw to you first. Tell us a little bit about your organization.
Well, we were founded in the 1990s, and early on, mostly what people did was go out and clean up graveyards. The Berks County Genealogical Society was founded in the 1980s, and some of those people who were active then were out reading tombstones. And I think when they got to the graveyards for the small private graveyards, they found they were in awful shape. And so, as their participation with the Genealogical Society ended, a few of them wound up starting our association. And in the 1990s, we had a really dynamic leader. She was good at organizing people, getting people involved, and they were out cleaning up graveyards. That woman died in 2000, and our association sort of withered for a while. We sort of started picking up in 2006, 2007 again. And the good thing about that woman's death, at least, was that she left considerable money to a trust to fund our association. So since that time, we've sort of been blessed in that we have funds to spend, that we can actually repair things, spend money on repairs. So a lot of our efforts have been directed along repairing walls, tombstones, and that. And then we have, we're sort of, because we're all volunteers, people do what they want to do. And some people are into deed research, researching history, and besides working on tombstones. So we have, whatever your interests are, we can probably accommodate them.
Lara, can I throw to you? And for those that are joining the stream that are not from southeastern Pennsylvania, when you hear graveyard, I think most people just associate, there's a church and then there's a cemetery. But the cemeteries that you guys are working on, they're different than that. Could you tell the audience a little bit about the kind of cemeteries that you guys are dealing with?
Sure. And it's not always cemeteries. I think part of it is a problem in the English language. And a lot of us use the words interchangeably, but there is a difference between a graveyard, a cemetery, and a burial ground. Traditionally, graveyards are those spots that people are interred in that are immediately adjacent to a church or very near a church, and they're associated with that church. It tends to be members of the church that are buried there and their immediate family. A cemetery is often a separate, non-religious place for people to be interred. It might be attached to a church, but not necessarily. But other prime examples are Charles Evans in the city of Reading. Most people are familiar with that. That's not associated with any particular church or religion. Lots of different people are buried there. Charles Evans is still an active cemetery. And then we have burial grounds. A burial ground is something that most people who have driven in southeastern PA have seen often when they're on a road or a highway. They look over into a field, maybe it's a cornfield, and they see a little walled area sitting in the middle of the field or up on a hill that has just a few tombstones in it. And often we're like, what was that? And we keep driving. Or you might have grown up close to one and realized that if you go all the way back to the earliest days of the colonies, this took place before there were a lot of churches. So families and sometimes community organizations got together and started very small private places to bury their individuals. Some of them eventually would go on to become affiliated with a church, but most of the ones in Berks County that we help take care of are family burial grounds. They were immediate family on a farm and then all of their associated relatives. And that's kind of what the slide is covering. At one point, there were probably over 300 just in Berks County alone. And we have an extremely high concentration. And we're lucky that as compared to other counties like Delaware, Montgomery, Chester, where the development took place much more quickly, we stayed rural during that time. So a lot of our earliest atlases and maps and land warrants and deeds show and still survive, that we have records saying that there were lots of these little private historic burial grounds.
Yeah, you guys sent me a map, and this is kind of tough to see because of how small it is. However,
Sorry.
this is just no, that's fine. This is just cemeteries, or yeah, graveyards. I'm going to use the wrong terms all the time. I'm sorry. I apologize
It's
in
okay.
advance. But this is just in and around Ole in
Yes.
southeastern Berks County, which is just unbelievable that there's this huge concentration of these I mean, on the what you guys can't maybe see or make out is there's over 40 of them. Just in that small geographic region. Can you speak to maybe why that is the case? I mean, you said that we're lucky that they're still around, but was this common practice for a family? You know, a family had a farm. Of course, they had a lot of kids. And was it common practice for them to have these family plots instead of getting buried at whatever church they were going to?
Les, do you want to talk?
Yeah, Ole is sort of the center, and that's what this map is. And it has the highest concentration. The entire eastern Berks County. It's if you go north or south from Ole, there are also a good bit more. Not as many as Ole, but it's sort of centered in Ole, and it sort of seems to be the custom in the 1700s for farmers to do that. The other thing is Ole is Ole Township itself is on the National Historic Registry. So all development in Ole is to some extent constrained, and that sort of limited maybe some of the building that might have gone on and overtaken things. I think since the 1990s, there are more laws on the book that require consideration of these graveyards before development takes place. Earlier, whoever wanted to do a development could often just come along and wipe things out. Now they need to go through a process with the courts. So that also has helped Ole, that it's rural, it's sort of protected in and of itself, and hopefully now maybe it will, with maybe a little bit better laws, be easier to preserve what they've got.
And that's part of it. I mean, Ole, and like Les said, the eastern part of the county, you have the Saucony, you have the Manatawny, and you have the Schuylkill. So you have three major waterways coming up from the earliest settlers. Three waterways where you're going to have your earliest settlements, and that's where some of your earliest churches are going to be too. So if you think about the fact that you have all these farming communities, a lot of immigrants and first generation people, the churches aren't well established, and there's still a lot of religious turmoil. People are flipping back and forth between what we now call the UCC, the Reformed Protestant, and the Lutheran. Then you had Moravians in Berks County, still all sorts of different religious groups. So sometimes rather than put yourself in a church graveyard, or it was easier for a family to stay on its own property and get things started and not have to worry about everybody disagreeing about what church.
Well, you guys sent me some awesome photos that I can't wait to share with everybody, because it's easy for us to sit here and talk about these things, but to see the actual work that you guys do is really important. So, Laura, you sent me this slide. Can you talk a little bit about when you guys get a call or you decide, okay, we came across the Smith family cemetery and we're going to go work on it? What might you encounter? I mean, here's just a couple videos, pictures, and like I said, we have a lot more coming up. So I'll just click through the slides and let you guys kind of talk about what we're looking at here.
Les knows this cemetery from earlier days. I've only come across it within the last year or two, but this is a burial ground that is still on an active farm. And as the farm turned over in ownership and how much care and word of mouth was being passed on, the farm kept encroaching on what was the burial ground. The walls were taken away. From what we hear, snowmobiles went over. We know there was a plow that went through several times, and probably pushing brush to the side as well. And so by the time that we came in and started actively looking for the stones there, I think the first time we were there, Les, was it maybe only 4 or 5? And then then we just kept digging, kept probing. It's really hard to see, but in that one picture where everybody's bent over, in the background, you can see what we use. It's a long piece of metal with a T handle at the top. It's about 48 inches long, and we use it just to poke down in the ground. And you can feel the difference between when you hit wood and when you hit stone. And if we keep probing in the general area and the stone seems to keep going, well, then that's a good chance we need to start digging there.
Okay.
Yeah, this one you can tell it's part field, part whole clumps of wild daylilies. There was pokeberry, there were fallen trees, there was brush piles. The farmer cooperated and helped get down a dead tree for us. And then I think we spent two or 3 days just cleaning up all the brush. And then we went back and just did, okay, now let's look and see what's here. What can we have access to?
Here's another photo that you shared with us, and we can talk about what's going. Okay, I see a bunch of strings or whatever, and some really crooked tombstones. What's going on here? What are you guys doing in this picture?
Because no one kept very good records about a lot of these private burial grounds, and even the older church ones that are now defunct and have been sitting so long, a lot of times we'll come in and cows have gone through, sheep have gone through, plows have gone through. Tombstones have sunk or changed their alignment just because of groundhogs digging underneath, and then everything starts to tip over. People mean well and move things. They pick them up to say, what is this? And then they put it down somewhere totally different. So we tried to compare to our own records. Jackie Nine, like Les was mentioning earlier, that she was so passionate about this and got it started. She did some record keeping, and so did another person named Laurel Miller. So we compared to both of their records from the 90s and 80s, and now we're going through and checking up on them, looking for mistakes, looking for how things have changed. Sometimes technology has changed that we can read the stones better. Other times the stones are even worse. Or they've become lost because the Historic Preservation Act only took place in 1994, which now means that people have to get a court order in order to move tombstones.
And you're talking about how technology has advanced. You send us this picture, and you can explain what this young man is doing here.
I'll let Les talk a little bit about this one because he's been to all of them.
This is a ground penetrating radar survey. I think that's the Bardo graveyard in Oldie Township. We've been fortunate at Kutztown University, the professor there, Dr. Lara brings students out to use the equipment, get experience doing ground penetrating radar, and then she evaluates the data. Apparently there's no programmatic way to just take the data and spit out a report. She needs to evaluate the data herself, and she always gives us then a report afterwards of her evaluation. I think I've been a little disappointed because I think she approaches this from a scientific standpoint, and so you got to have real precise stuff before she's going to say we got a grave at this spot. Sometimes we get that information. Sometimes there'll be areas of the graveyard that are identified. Likely there are graves here, but we can't identify a specific grave. Again, you have groundhogs in there messing things up underground. That's probably one reason. We find that a lot of times, as Laura said, the tombstones don't really match up with where the graves seem to be and what's reported.
Or you have something like this that you guys encounter and you have to put together.
This is a burial ground known sometimes as the Rothermel-de-Turk or de Turk-Rothermel. It's actually in someone's backyard in Muhlenberg. And because it's so close to homes and children playing, people kicking balls, everything like that, and destructive teenagers and other people who maybe were trying to reclaim the space to do other things in their backyard. Even within the last 20 years, a lot of the stones are now missing, moved, and as you can see, really, really broken. We've spent a lot of time working with family descendants with this one on working on recovering stones and piecing them together.
And something like, I mean, you sent this picture too, so it's literally like a jigsaw puzzle that you have to try and take these broken 300-year-old tombstones, and they're in a language that maybe some of your members don't speak or can't read as well, and try to put them back together. It is unbelievable. How do you, I mean, I don't even know how, like, where do you begin? Like, when you come across something like these images that we're looking at, I just, for me, it's like, where do you even begin? Here's another photo to share with everybody of somebody doing this very job of kind of put these stones together. I guess my next question would be, okay, you find all the pieces. Let's say, oh, great, we found every piece for this
and we don't.
And most, yeah, right. And most times you don't. But I guess my question would be, okay, you have this jigsaw puzzle now. What do you guys do then? Do you try and, you can't put it back together, can you? To put it back up? Okay.
Sometimes. Sometimes, and what they did, the photo that you're looking now, the woman in the center is Ann Hummel Wagner. She's one of our vice presidents. With that one, so many pieces were lost at that particular burial ground that Les and all the board members and members, because I wasn't with the group at that time, made the decision and came up with a clever solution. Les, you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, again, like, I thought they were crazy myself, but I left them go on, and Anne and Carla, who joined the program tonight, Carla speaks German, reads German, so she was able to make sense out of the German as they tried putting things together. And there were like just small differences in the thickness of the tombstones, so they could sort of put some stones with others, and they look at the texture, the color of the stone, and put them into different piles, and then organize them and make sense of the verbiage. So we sort of wound up then with the stacks like that, and what do we do with them? And Anne collared her son to design display cases. We built PVC display cases, because once we had them arranged like this, they're often too many small pieces to really epoxy them together or really fit them together, but still we didn't want to lose the work that had gone into organizing things. So we had these display cases made, and we put the stones inside the cases, put a plexiglass cover over them. And so we have 3 of those sitting inside this graveyard with pretty much all the stones that we found here.
And they're really clever with the design, and because there's even vents to allow air to go in and out, because we don't want the stones to be trapped with too much moisture or not enough moisture, because things like that and the freeze thaw cycle is really bad for what fragments we still have. So it was a very, very clever solution.
Yeah.
When so much was missing.
Yeah. And, we talk about the tombstones, but a lot of these small cemeteries, as those of you that drive around southeastern Pennsylvania know, a lot of them had a stone wall around them. And sometimes those walls need a little tender, loving care as well. This is one picture that you guys sent that you can kind of see. I mean, when we talk about overgrowth and nature trying to reclaim what's nature, it was really interesting to see this photo of what it looked like before. And then you sent photos like this of what it looks like once it's been cleaned up and repointed and restoned. So you'll have, I mean, this isn't work that just anybody can do. I guess you have volunteers that come in that can do masonry, stonework, and mortar and laying these walls. Correct? I mean, that's right. I mean, yeah, that's just unbelievable. I mean, we look at this, we're like, oh, that's really nice. But when you think about what you guys walk into, here's another example you guys sent us. Some of these cemeteries would also have iron gates on them before you guys came, and then on the right after you were done. And it's so easy for us to see the finished product and be like, oh, well, that's really nice. That looks really nice, and not realize the work that went into what, what the finished product looks like. Here's another example of just overgrown vegetation and the walls that you guys sent. It's just unbelievable. I guess my question would be like, you get a call or you decide, okay, we're going to pick this cemetery to work on, and you walk up and this is what you're greeted with. It's somewhat has to be almost like a gut punch, doesn't it? Like, oh my gosh, look how much we have to do, or oh, how are we ever going to do this project? Could you talk a little bit about how you approach that and getting everybody on board? Is somebody like a cheerleader that's like, come on guys, let's go, we're gonna get this cemetery cleaned up, or like, how do you guys approach that? Because that would be, I think that to a certain extent would be really disheartening. That you walk into these situations where for generations people have left this go, and you guys are going to try and bring new life into it. How do you get your volunteers excited about doing, because this isn't easy work. This is hard work.
They're interested, they're devoted, they feel that they're accomplishing something by approaching this stuff. This is the Hope Graveyard outside of Fleetwood, and the founders of Fleetwood are said to be buried here. We had a resident of Fleetwood come to one of our meetings and ask us to do something about this graveyard, because most of us, I had never seen this graveyard before. A lot of what we do, is sort of triggered because some descendant or a neighbor comes to us and says, would you do something about this? And in this case, we had someone come to us, and this goes back to maybe 2012, somewhere in that time frame. There were really three of us who worked here one morning, like the guy who came to us, myself, and another guy, and Ann Wagner, who was in the putting the tombstone pieces together. The four of us who were there one morning and actually had most of it cut down. And today we may have up to 10, 12 people sometimes who actively come, maybe not every time we do something. And fortunately, this isn't the normal situation. Once cut down, we try to get back to them in a year or two. And if we can do that with that sort of frequency, at least things don't get out of hand. The interesting thing is we don't know who does it. Here it is today.
So, okay, everyone, now think about what we were just looking at and what these guys were able to do. My goodness.
Yeah, you were mentioning about the people that did it. We have a stonemason on board who's on our board, Keith Schaefer. He's a character. Some of your watchers may have bumped into him at places already. But he is excellent at being creative about taking what's left. And then sometimes we have to take funding that we have, or if we're lucky enough to have a family association or group of descendants that are working with us who can maybe try to raise funds, and then we can buy the materials and help pay for the amount of work that goes into it. Because Les, do you remember off the top of your head how much the Hoke cost till we were done?
Oh, $20,000, $25,000 maybe. You know, the interesting thing too is that every Christmas time, somebody puts a wreath on that gate. We don't really know who does that, but somebody knows about it and thinks of it every Christmas. I just also say that the guy who came to us telling us about this graveyard originally is Dave Schlegel, who's a Fleetwood.
I know Dave.
And the reason it looks that good is because he's taken care of it ever since. So we got things, down to the ground, and he's the guy who's got the grass seed in there and mows it, and takes care of it right now, because we don't really have the manpower to go back, once or twice a month to care for things. Like, when we go in, we're using string trimmers, just getting things down to the ground. We're not taking lawn mowers in and making it, like a yard.
Oh, that's the Barnett Peters where you saw Anne trying to piece together all the bits and pieces. This is the finished result when with the display cases built and then the pieces in there. so that,
Oh, that's in the back there, what
mhm.
they're leaning over. Okay.
Yep. But it's just like Dave Schlegel really helps us out. We're always looking for that too. I mean, if we can get a burial ground or cemetery to a manageable condition, that's one of the big things that, like Les said, we can't get back there other than maybe a year or two. And sometimes it's more than that. And then we're constantly fighting against nature, trying to get it back to that spot. So anytime we can get it to the point where a property owner, a family association, a group of people, we have one cemetery where, some neighbors get together, that they can keep it, even if they get to it once a month, to keep it from getting to that jungle stage again. We would hope that if it was our graves, we would hope someone would care that much,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I got a couple pictures yet that you guys sent me in regards to some of the types of stones that you're running into. And of course, this being a channel that's dedicated to all things Pennsylvania Dutch, I mean, the vast majority of these cemeteries that you guys are taking care or cleaning up and preserving are our ancestors, our Pennsylvania Dutch forefathers and foremothers. And you just happen to send these two photos of these two stones. And right away, I saw the one on the left. And so my grandmother was a Hoch. This is Samuel Hoch. And I had to double check because there's more than one Samuel Hoch when you go back in history. And I had to see, is this one of my great-great-great-grandfathers? And I looked and checked with the dates and everything. And actually, that tombstone is my fifth great-grandfather, sixth great-grandfather was his brother. So it would be like a great uncle or something like that to me. But as soon as I saw the stone, I was like, oh my goodness, it's hitting home for me too, as someone that's a descendant of these tombs, these stones and so forth. But sometimes you come across stones that clean up really well. And then you have other ones like the one on the right that because of weather and everything, hundreds of years, that they get to the point where you really can't read them necessarily anymore. When you come across these types of stones, have either of you had that instance where you didn't even know and you're cleaning it off and you're like, oh my God, this is my family, or this is a relative of mine? Have you ever had that experience? And if so, what was that like for you?
Les, how many of the cemeteries are you related to? Have you counted?
Well, there might be a dozen graveyards that I have ancestors in. And that's one reason that got me into this association, was I just wanted to see where my ancestors were. So I sort of went to these knowing that I had an ancestor there. So it is, sort of a special feeling when you stand there and you see one of your ancestors and you look around, and especially like the Samuel Hoch, like that's in Ole. You look around and that land is pretty similar to what it looked like 100 years ago, 200 years ago when he was standing there. It sort of ties you to the location, to the to everything that's there, really.
Does it give you goosebumps, Les?
A bit, yes.
And some of you have probably heard about it and heard about the Kemp Cemetery in Maxitani. That there's been media coverage about that one, but that's what gets people so passionate about this. I mean, it gives you goosebumps. You stand there and you think, this was my 4 times, my 7 times great grandfather. This is the spot where they chose to spend eternity. They looked out and said, look at what I have done. This is where I want to be. Yeah. And there are a lot of us within the organization, even if you aren't genealogy minded, that there's a sense of I always call it the Pennsylvania Dutch need for cleanliness. The same thing is what made my grandmother go out and sweep the sidewalk, even though no one had walked on it that day. It needs to be preserved and neatened, and I would be embarrassed if their relatives came and then saw the condition that some of these are in. That there's a sense. I mean, we have some members that come out that's why they come and mow and trim, because no cemetery should ever get to that point. They might not be related to anybody there, but no one should have to have their family members, no matter how far back, be in a place that looks like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's I think this is we have a couple more photos real quick of some stones that you guys at least picked out. I love that the fact of the one on the right, according to your records at least, is the second oldest stone in all of Berks County. That's unbelievable. And then we see the various motifs of what looks like an oak leaf, maybe, and is that supposed to be an
Oak leaves
acorn or yeah?
oak leaves and grapes. Because
Oh, grapes. Okay.
Yep, oak leaves for constancy, and that's even all the way back to the Bible about being as
Yeah.
true as an oak. And then you'll often see motifs related to communion with grapes and branches on the tree. That there's Bible verses about that. This one's unusual, and Doug, I'm sure you've seen them. When you go to cemeteries in Germany today, you go and have one that is old enough, that has survived that long. This is the shape and the size and the font. This is what you're seeing. These people were the immigrants. They're making tombstones exactly what they had at home.
They were doing. They were copying what they knew. Right. They were right. They were doing what they knew. Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just a couple more here. We have Benjamin Grimm, veteran of the War of 1812. A stone that looks like it had been fallen over at one point, and you guys have picked it back up and reset it. I guess another thing I thought of, because you're going to come across in these cemeteries, you're going to come across graves of Revolutionary War veterans. And for example, the War of 1812. Has there ever been any veterans organizations that have reached out to you guys, either to physically help or monetary, or from like the state or even the federal government, since you are cleaning up and protecting, especially when I think about, like, nothing to take anything away from the War of 1812, but if we're talking about Revolutionary War graves, the gentleman that literally made a decision to go fight for the creation of our country, just out of curiosity, do you get support from things like the American Legion or the VFW or Veterans Affairs or anything like that?
Occasionally, it's unfortunate, but the Patriotic Order Sons of America, they had an OLE grouping, and they went out of business, and they gave us, they sort of, in their dissolution, they gave us some money, and some of it they merged with another POS of A. We've had the Berks County Veterans Affairs Office has been helpful. We had a graveyard that for decades we were not allowed, no one was allowed to access. The landowner actually chased people away with a shotgun. And, eventually, that Ann Wagner, again, things like that really disturbed her. She started working on people, and she got to the Berks County Veterans Office, and the county is responsible for seeing that veterans have tombstones. So the Veterans Affairs Administrator went to the county commissioners and said, and it was a nightmare with trees and all sorts of stuff growing up at that point. The Veterans Affairs Administrator went to the county commissioners, said, if the trees fall over, the county's responsible, going to have a cost to replace his tombstones. And so the county had their lawyer contact these people and sort of exerted the pressure to allow us to get in there. And there was an easement. We were legally allowed in to begin with, and they were even preventing the use of that easement. So the county's been helpful. Patriotic Order, Sons of America. There's some of the groups volunteer to maintain a graveyard. I think that is also the Patriotic Order Sons of America, a different outfit. International Order of Odd Fellows has worked in a graveyard. Again, all these people are elderly, let me say, and that pertains to our membership and everybody who's involved here. We're all elderly, so there's a limited time that before we need replacement.
I'm not retired yet, but he's right. I'm the youngest. I think I'm the youngest or the second youngest. He's right. So I have trouble making, if we do a cleanup on a weekday, then it's a little trickier for me. But yeah, he is right. And And it's unfortunate, and I think you see this too, even in those who speak Dutch yet, and the people that show an interest in Dutch. You get to a certain point in your life, and you remember, oh, my grandparents spoke it. I remember being taught "Kunst de Mikkevangen." You know, I remember, you know, having to say please and thank you, and saying grumbiera and pannenkoeken when I was sitting at the table. And it's only as you get older in life that you start to value this. But the same's true with our cemeteries. You get a certain point in your life, but unfortunately that makes it a lot tougher to do what you see in this picture right here.
Yeah, this is the last image that the group has shared with me, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what you can do if you want, or if you're interested in helping these guys out. But this just sums up exactly all the things we've been talking about. When you look at the image in the upper left-hand corner, when they came to this particular cemetery in 2012, what it looked like. And then you look at these other pictures, and you end up in the bottom right-hand corner, and what it looks like when they were, when they done some work. It's just unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. What you guys are doing. It's unreal.
The work continues with the Wartsloft, and I'm glad that you picked this one. Any support anyone can give, whether it's following in the media or contacting your legislatures, keeping track of your laws and ordinances within your own townships. If you're familiar with Perry Township, you know that there's a lot of development, and the land that the Wartsloft is on has someone interested in putting a warehouse on it. So that's another thing we do. We keep track of that. We try to keep track of what's going on. We make sure that all parties are educated to know about what the laws are and what the process is if they do decide to sell it, because it is someone's private property. You know, they have the right to dispose it. If someone told you couldn't sell your house, you'd be upset. But at the same time, proper care has to be taken and documented and made sure that all the rules are followed, and that the family has a chance to say something about it too.
Yeah. Anne's letting us know that when they went at that Wartsloft cemetery, they had to go in with chainsaws just to get into it. Unbelievable. Thank you for your work, Anne. All right, so let's close this section of the show out. You've told us your story. How I got somebody out there that is interested in either physically helping out on a Saturday or whatever, or they're like, well, I live in Florida, but I want to give you guys money to help you guys in your endeavors. What do we need to tell the people out there that want to help and participate?
cagp.org is our website. And there's a membership or a donation page. Again, if you're living in Florida and you like to do deed research in Berks County, all the old deeds are on the Berks County website. So you can go in and actually look at them, read them, and they're in German sometimes. So, if you have that skill, you can do that. The trust money that we received from our executive director who died in 2000, that is running out. We're going to be limited in what graveyard walls we rebuild in the future, because the sort of the unlimited supply of money isn't unlimited anymore.
Yeah.
So we have to, be prudent with how we use that.
Sure. And
we
I
are
also
on Facebook.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I was just going to say
Facebook and Instagram. If you can search for Berks County Association for Graveyard Preservation or BCAGP.
Right. I will, and in the show notes down below, for those of you watching on YouTube or on Facebook, I will be putting links to the website and also their Facebook page. You don't have to be a member of the organization to follow the Facebook page and the Instagram feed. I would welcome all of you to do that, because it gives you updates on when they have a work day coming up, and if it would fit your schedule and you are willing to hack at a chainsaw with Anne or whoever else is out there, I'm sure.
Or rake.
You don't
have to do the heavy stuff either. You can bring a rake, you can bring a tarp, you can walk and take measurements. There's all sorts of different stuff that could be done. We certainly welcome the chainsaws and trimmers and things like that. But yeah, it's like Les said, there's all kinds of roles out there, because our retired folks only have so much time and energy. Those of us that are still working, we fit it in as we can. So we're always looking. It doesn't matter how small, or if it means that all you do is become a member, or send us $20. It'll go to something good.
Right. Right. Well, I'm just going to leave with this comment, and then we'll say goodbye to you guys. But first off, as someone that's of Pennsylvania Dutch ancestry, and someone that has my entire family roots are through Berks County as far back as 1700, and the work that you do, and also being a nerd as a kid who liked to walk around on old cemeteries, I look at this from a different perspective than I think most people from my generation. As you said, Laura, it's usually later in life when you start to get really reflective and you start thinking about these types of things. But as someone from my generation, I would like to tell you from the bottom of my heart, the work that you guys are doing is beyond important. You are preserving our history and our culture, because these tombstones, not only do they tell the story of whoever is buried there, but they also have folk motifs of our art, our language. You know, it tells so much of our story, just the fact that, other than the fact that just someone is buried here. And the work that you guys are doing, and I don't know if you hear it often enough, but if you do, great. And if you don't, let me say it from me personally, that I can't thank you enough for what you're doing, because what you are doing is preserving for another generation, hopefully multiple generations, that our story will continue to be told, and these people's stories will continue to be told. If I keep talking, I'm gonna get choked up after a while, because it is just, it is, for me personally, it is the most important thing that I think we can do in a way of honoring those that did so much, whether it was coming across the ocean on a boat and making that crazy decision to do that, to come into a wilderness and hack down acres of trees to create a farm, and then survive, and then fight wars to keep the country together, and just going on, and generation after generation after generation. We have to honor that legacy and that history, at least. And if that's as easy as mowing a cemetery, once you guys have done the work that you've done, but keeping it up and just mowing or cleaning stones or putting a fresh American flag on a veteran's grave, my goodness, we have to keep doing this. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for the work that you guys do. And I'm hoping that I can get some younger people maybe enthusiastic about at least helping. And I'll tell you what, people, I'm a father of young kids. Do you know what's a great way to get kids interested in history and get them to know their true story? You join a group like this on a Saturday, and maybe you just do it once, and you go and you have your kid, even if they just help pick up a couple twigs, it teaches them something, and it connects them to their past. What more could we ask for? Their iPad, their video games don't do that. This does. It's one way of doing that. So again, we'll have links to your organization's website, the Facebook page. Thank you so much for coming on the show this evening, telling your story. As you guys continue the work that you do, I will continue to promote what you do and share your stories on my social media, because it is truly important work. So Les, Laura, thank you so much. And I'm hoping that I can at least get some money shooting your way here from the people watching tonight. And it would be awesome if a couple truckloads of people show up at your next work day, and it's like the clown car. People just keep coming out of the cars to help you guys out. But we're going to do the best that we can to promote you guys and help you in all of the work and the important work that you do. Thank you so much.
John, can I mention something? One of the things that we're trying to do too is more outreach. I don't have a whole lot of details yet, but I wanted to share, if you follow us on Facebook and our things like that, October 29th, we're working with a historical society and 2 cemeteries to do a do no harm historic monument and graveyard preservation. One of the things that I'm sure people have seen too, especially with COVID, people were trapped at home. They started getting into genealogy, and suddenly it's all the rage to find tombstones and clean them. We want people to do it correctly and learn how to do no harm. So October 29th at the St. Paul's Union Cemetery in Mertztown. So check us out on social media. I'll post more details, but we're just hoping to educate people too. Even if you don't do a lot, we just want to spread the word.
Thank you. Laura and Les, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Hopefully I'll be able to have you back on in the show after, sometime down the road, and you're going to be like, hey, a bunch of people donated $1 million to our organization, and we want to let you guys know that they did that. We can always pray and hope that something like that would happen for you guys. But again, thank you so much for coming up on the show. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors and the work that you're doing, and don't give up. Just keep working. Just keep on going. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
How do you follow that? How do you follow that, guys? Again, you guys know I'm a history nerd. I've been into genealogy ever since I was a middle school kid, and I wasn't the average kid in high school. I liked to walk these old revolutionary 1700 era cemeteries and looking at these old tombstones because they tell a story. And the work that this group, this organization is doing is not just helping to tell the story, but they're preserving the stories. Some of these stories that are over, going on 300 plus years now. It's the story of us. It's the story of our parents and our grandparents, and going as far back as to the people that made that arduous journey across the ocean for a new life here in the United States. Wow. And if all we can do is clean up some sticks and clean some cemeteries up to keep that story going and to preserve that story, then by all means, let's all do what we can to do that. What a great interview. Thank you so much, Les and Laura. And again, guys, I'll have the links to the stuff in the show notes down below. Every month, I bring you something in the dialect. This month, this is top secret that I'm sharing only with you and the however many people are going to watch this video. A good friend of mine who I'm currently working with by the name of Michael Clay, younger Pennsylvania Dutchman, now living in Virginia, is a poet. And he is currently putting together, working on a poetry project. And our goal, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag a little bit. Our goal is to translate this collection of poetry into Pennsylvania Dutch and eventually put out a printed edition. And I wanted to wet everyone's whistle a little bit with one of his poems that he wrote and that I translated into Pennsylvania Dutch. It's a short poem, but I really like it. The name of it is Eefachheit, or simplicity, simpleness. I'll read the Pennsylvania Dutch, which is on the left, and you guys can follow along with the English on the right. Wanneer du kanst, die wilde fekkel hera, die wilde sun zee, da wilde wind viele, die wilde bloemen riechen, es wilde Wasser schmacken, was mee van leven brauchst du? How about it? How about it? I agree. There's your poem, everybody. And every month I bring you some kind of music. This month I am giving a shout out to a local Berks County band known as the Crow Hill Bluegrass Band, made up of a bunch of good old Pennsylvania Dutch boys, and they perform a lot in the area around Berks County. And this is a video that was shot. I have to share a different screen here for a minute. Give me 1 second. They performed live at the Kutztown Folk Festival, and they performed their original song, Pennsylvania Dutch Girl. It's in English, but it deals with Pennsylvania Dutch themes. So this is from this year's 2022 Kutztown Folk Festival live performance of the Crow Hill Bluegrass Band song, Pennsylvania Dutch Girl. Enjoy, everybody.
Okay, we like the one that I wrote a couple years back. It's about a Pennsylvania Dutch girl. It's about a girl from like California moving and marrying a guy from Pennsylvania, and how she learns to be Pennsylvania Dutch girl. 1, 2, 3, 4. I say glass half empty. She says glass half full. I say the milk is all. He says the milk's all one. I say throw me down the stairs behind. She looks me in the eye and says, get up. She's learning to be a Pennsylvania Dutch girl. She's learning the phrases that we say. She's learning to be Dutch, be dumb. She's learning to be a Pennsylvania Dutch girl. I say, how about you fly? She hands me a fly swatter. I say, how about Miss Cake? She tries to look okay to me. I say, it's making Donna. She looks me in the eye and says, good out now. She's learning to be a Pennsylvania Dutch girl. She's learning the phrases that we say. She's learning to be Dutch, be dumb. She's learning to be a Pennsylvania Dutch girl. Dutch Jamaica Fonda, Yabasi Coco Cook, fry, and hockey are her favorite phrases. She makes me fly high, it's delicious. Her English skates taste just like mine. She's learning to be a Pennsylvania Dutch girl. She's learning the phrases that we say. She's learning to be Dutch, be dumb. She's learning to be a Pennsylvania Dutch girl. She's learning to be a Pennsylvania Dutch girl.
There you go. How about a little bit of Crow Hill Bluegrass Band? They are a great band out of Berks County. Check them out sometime. They tour a lot and go different places in and around the Berks County region and beyond. Hey, I'm running late this month. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm telling you what, it was just too good of a show. I couldn't cut it short. So you got your poem, you got your news, you got a great conversation with the Berks County Association for Graveyard Preservation. We got a song. What more do you want? Well, I got you some more stuff real quick before we leave. Hey, would you like to get some great Pennsylvania Dutch swag and merch? There are t-shirts. There are stuff to celebrate our Pennsylvania Dutch heritage and culture. Check out the website, zazzle.com/PA Dutch stuff. That is a site where we have art productions or products designed by Rachel Yoder with Pennsylvania Dutch done up by me. It's great. Get your stuff out there. You can get magnets. You can get t-shirts. You can get a Babesy onesie. You can get a bib. If you're a sloppy eater, you can get yourself a bib now once. So when you're eating your shoe fly pie, you don't get it on your shirt. All that stuff's available. Check out the website. Support the good work that we're doing over there. We'll continue to keep that going so that you can get your Pennsylvania Dutch merchandise delivered right to your door. And I do have to give one quick shout out. The video that I showed was shot by our good friend Dave Klein at Pretzel City Productions. He was there at the Kutztown Folk Festival and shot that video that we just watched. Do you like what we're doing here? Would you like to support me and the channel? Well, you can buy me a coffee. Simply go over to buymeacoffee.com/Doug Maidenford, and you can buy me a virtual coffee. All money raised will go towards the upkeep of the channel, getting new material, getting makeup for me so I can finally look good. Notice, we got to work on that because, man, I'm getting grayer and grayer. Maybe if next person that buys me a cup of coffee, maybe I'll try one of those. I'll try and dye my beard. Carol, you're joining us tonight. There's your challenge. Donate a couple bucks and I'll dye my beard, and I'll even let you pick the color, Carol. How's that sound? Well, I'm going bold here, boys and girls, but we're going to try. We're trying. No, I thank anyone that contributes. And of course, if you don't feel like contributing, that's okay too. No pressure whatsoever. Mark your calendars, Booba and mates, because next month we already have planned for the show. It will take place on Wednesday, October the 19th at 6 p.m. And in the month of October, I will be welcoming Jeff Marks onto the show. He actually is joining the live stream tonight. I saw him pop up in the comment section. He is a Pennsylvania Dutch artist, and we are going to look at some of his art. And I will tell you what. You want to talk about realism and realistic images and portraying the Pennsylvania Dutch story? Just you wait till you see what this guy is doing. It is unbelievable. I've come across his art online, and right away I said, I got to talk to this guy. I got to get this guy on the show and share his amazing talent with all of you. So mark your calendars. October 19th, 2022, 6 p.m. We'll be live again here on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook page, and also on Twitter. Till we see each other again, dear friends, it has been such an awesome evening, as it always is. I love that once a month I get to sit down here in my basement and go live and spend it with people from New Zealand, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, various parts of Pennsylvania, other parts of the United States, and this common tie that we have of our Pennsylvania Dutch culture and language and history brings us all together for an hour a month. I care about all of you, and I'm so grateful that you continually come back month after month. We're going to keep the show going as long as we can. I can't wait to be with all of you on the 19th of October. In the meantime, follow along on our Facebook page, PA Dutch 101. If you're on Twitter, I tweet as well, PA Dutch 101. And I just recently started up an Instagram also for PA Dutch 101, where I post all things Pennsylvania Dutch that will keep you busy between live streams. So check that stuff out. Go visit one of the things that's going to be taking place, one of the events taking place here in the next couple of weeks. There's some great stuff to check out. And if you are at Heimatfest on Saturday in Kutztown, find me. I'll be there at 2 o'clock performing. I'll be walking around the fairgrounds or the grounds there, but between show, after show, but before show. Find me. Say hi. Don't just say, hey, there's that Doug Mainford, and then keep on walking. Come over and say hi. Introduce yourself. I'd love to meet you or see you again if I already know you. But until next month, dear friends, as we always say in Pennsylvania Dutch, Max goed. Max gut zu dir, Max gut zu dir, Max gut zu dir für now. Unsere Zeit ist all und so es ist Max gut für now. Hoff wieder mit dir zu sein, hoff du bringst zurück ein Freund. Max gut zu dir, Max gut zu dir, Max gut zu dir für now. Unsere Zeit ist all und so es ist Max gut für now. Hoff wieder mit dir zu sein, hoff du bringst zurück ein Freund. Und so Max gut, lieber Freund, Max gut.